Hello and welcome to Stamping Fun with Donna. And I'm Donna, and every Monday I bring you a mini. What is a Monday mini, you may ask? It's a card that you can make quickly in about 10 minutes or less. And the reason for that is we all have times we have to make more intricate cards for special occasions, but we also all have times where we're running out the door and we think, oh my gosh, I didn't make a card and I need to bring something with me. So that's what Monday Mini is about. It's about those times when you don't have as much time to put into it as other times. Today we're going to be using the Glow of Harvest. This is the product of the month for August of 2026, which means that you're in luck. If you're watching this August of 2026, then you can get this paper for only $5 with a $75 product order or more. It has to be the product, and then these are $5, which is an amazing deal. This, I don't know if you can see the shine on this one, but this here has a gorgeous, gorgeous shine. It's all about the shine with these papers. And these papers also are heavier than most of our papers are, our designer series papers are. So it's got a lot of heft to it. These papers also don't have a back, so they're not two-sided like most of our designer series papers. But you'll be very happy to get these papers because of the beautiful, beautiful shine. So they're all about the autumn, of course, since it's the Glow of Harvest. So this one is a beautiful pumpkin paper. I love that pumpkin. I could even see like cutting out pumpkins and putting them places. This is the second one, which is some autumn foliage. These are all pretty much autumn foliage. This one here, I think it's upside down. Actually, it goes in all directions, so there is no upside down. But these are acorns on branches. This one here is some yellow and red flowers that I'm not sure what they are, but they're beautiful, whatever they are. These are those things that you blow on. I forget what they're called, but you blow on them, they go everywhere. And then some more sprays. So the papers are absolutely stunning. I'm gonna put those away because we're gonna be using the one with the pumpkins right here. Let me go ahead and grab my paper trimmer over here. And what we're gonna do first is we need 3 1-inch strips of this. And the 3 1-inch strips of this need to be 4.5 inches long. So let me grab this, and I wanna go to the 4.5 inches over here. There we go. They're long, 4.5 inches long. So I wanna go this direction. 4.5 inches, right to there, great. And now we need 3 strips of 1 inch each. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this, you can see on here, it's got the numbers as well. So we're just gonna go to the 4-inch line, right there. Fantastic. And then what we're going to do is to cut 3 1-inch strips. So I can use this side when they're small, and I love to use this side for 1 to 2 inches. It just holds it better, makes it better. And when we come down to the 4.5 inches, we should be able to pull this one off. And then we're gonna move it over. Let me pull that back up, move it over. And you wanna keep these strips in order. So I'm gonna put one here. I'm gonna move this to 1 inch. I'm going to do another one right here. I'm gonna move this one over and keep it in order. And then I'm gonna do the last one at 1 inch. Here we go, and move it over down to the 4-inch mark, and then take it off and move it over. And there you go. You want to keep these in order when you cut them, in the same order that you cut them at. So you can see it's whenever there's a design or something that looks sort of like a scene is when you want to keep them in order like that. So it looks just like that. I'm going to place these up here just as I cut them. And I'm going to go on to the next piece. So the next piece we want to cut at 3.5 inches by 4 3/4 inches. So I'm going to go to 4 3/4 here, 4 3/4, and cut that down. Actually, what is it this way? Does this way make more sense? Nah, either way is fine. I'm just taking whatever I happen to have that's already partially cut and cutting into it. So here's 4 3/4, and we're going to then take this one and cut it at 3.5. This is the, if you haven't seen this yet, this is the Golden Glow which is one of our new colors. And I think it's really, really pretty, and it really goes well with the pumpkins. So the next one piece we're going to cut is going to be at 3.5 by 4 3/4. So I'm going to cut 4 3/4 this way. I'm sorry, that's what I just cut. It's 4 by 5 1/4. So I'm going to cut 5 1/4 this way, right here. Great. And then cut this one at 4. There we go. To the 4-inch mark, cut that off. And these are going to layer together like this. See how pretty that is? I really like that one. And then the last piece, so this was Golden Glow and this was Early Espresso. And the last piece we're going to use is Barely Beige. And we're going to do this like a normal card. So we're going to take a, that doesn't look like it's, is that a full sheet? Yeah, it is. So we're going to cut this one to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So we cut this one in half this way. And then we set 1/2 aside to use for another card base. This is just a regular card base. And then we're going to go ahead and fold this up in half. And we've got our card base. Let me see if I got that in half. There we go. Beautiful. Beautiful. Perfect. And then these are going to be the layers on top. Now for this card, I like to make this outside layer to be a little bit larger, to take up a little more space, and have this one be a little bit smaller. As you can see, it's not a 1/4 inch off everyone like I usually do. And now what we're going to do is to add a little glue to the outside and put this right here on the left side. I find it's easiest when you do these if you do them, the two on the outside first, and then you add the middle one, because that will make it so that they're evenly spaced across. So let me go ahead and put this one on here on this side. And you have a few seconds to get them in place if they don't get in the right place to begin with when you're using the liquid glue. That's why I like the liquid glue. Now this one here, we're gonna put right down the middle and also put some liquid glue on it so we can squiggle it into place if we need. And put this one right here. And you've got this gorgeous, gorgeous fall little scenery here, just like that. I'm going to take this and I'm going to go ahead and the piece that we just glued the strips onto, and I'm going to glue it onto the next largest piece, which here is my Early Espresso piece. And I'm going to put it right here in the middle. I love the way that the Early Espresso makes the colors pop. And I love the way that I left a little extra room, just a little extra room for the Early Espresso to peek out. Now I'm going to take this piece of Early Espresso with the other layer on top, and I'm going to place it right on top of our card base, which we made in Basic Beige. And there we go. That's pretty much the card. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to need to have some sort of a sentiment or some sort of a focal point here. So I grabbed in from Fern and Flora the stamp that says, what does this say? This way. You're an amazing friend. I love this sentiment. I think it's just such a beautiful sentiment. When I make these, I usually like to make it either the same color as the middle one or the same color as the outside. Today I'm doing the outside. So I'm going to grab a piece, a little strip, leftover strip of Basic Beige. Actually, I think I have one here that I've already cut something out of. I do. So I'll go ahead and use that. And I'm going to use Pecan Pie to get this all up and stamp it right there. You don't have to press hard. You don't have to rock it. You shouldn't rock it. You just have to let it soak in for a minute, and it comes right onto the paper like we want. So we've got that one, and I'm going to set this aside and bring in our cut and emboss machine. So I always say that when you have a cut and emboss machine, you don't need to know, you don't need to memorize what you're going to be doing. You don't even need to know what it is or know how to read, because all you need to do is to look at the plates and it tells you. So for die cutting, you put on the plate number 1, plate number 2, one plate number 3, and then we're going to put the other plate number 3 on top. So we're going to put our piece of paper here, and I'm going to grab a die from the Fern and Flora that we used for this. This die, this by the way is the Fern and Flora set. It's so useful, and these are the dies. It's so useful for so many things, for little spots of all sorts of things. And I love this little die here that cuts it out. Oh, it's such a cute shape, and it's such a good size for sentiments. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this one here. Great. And I'm going to put another one on top. Let me get that in the right spot. Now, if you don't know this, if your dies are moving on you, you can go ahead and use some sort of low-tack tape. Any sort of low-tack tape, washi tape, removable tape. It all keeps it in place and keeps it really well. So I'm just going to pull that through and set aside the machine and pull this apart. There we go. And we have this beautiful sentiment right here. Set aside those pieces. And I usually keep these because I can do another one. So there's all sorts of things you can do with that. So I'm going to keep that to the side. Now, the next thing I want to do is I generally like to pop up my sayings, my sentiments, with some dimensionals, which we're going to do. But first, I want to put a little bit of twine behind it. So I'm just going to cut that off. Now, if it's too curly, you just take your scissors and just run it. Sorry, take your hands and you run it with your fingernail. And then all I'm going to do here, because it's behind the sentiment, and I don't need to worry too much about how it is behind the sentiment, I usually just like pretend I've made a bow, but not really make a bow, and make the ends even like that. I'm going to just cut off the part that's fraying a little bit. And then I like to take one glue dot, put it on top of the twine, and then I'm going to take the twine, and usually what I do is I put it at an angle, right like this, wherever you want to put the twine. I think I want it here so you can see all the pretty pumpkins. And then I put it at an angle, so it's not straight up and down, but it's pretty much straight up and down. And the reason for that, I'm going to turn it just a little bit because of that piece there. And the reason because of that is when the saying goes on it, when the sentiment goes on it, it's going to be in the perfect orientation. So I'm just going to take those backs off and take this, stick it right over here, making sure I get the bow in a beautiful spot. And because I was looking at the bow, I got that slightly off angle, but there you go. It's just like that. So now the next thing I'm going to do is just put on a little bit of bling. And we have here the antique pearls, which I absolutely, utterly adore. And the sheen on them kind of matches the sheen on the paper. So it looks beautiful together. So I'm going to put those two like this. I'm just using, because this one is a small sentiment, so I'm just using the small antique, there we go, the small antique pearls, and that's all you need for this. And I'm going to put one more right here. That's it. So when you're running out to go somewhere, this one needs to go a little bit higher so that it doesn't look like it's the same spot as the one across. Let me see if I can't get that back on. There we go. So when you're looking, when you have to run out and you're looking to make a card, this is a super card to make, really fast, really beautiful. Using designer series paper when you're in a rush, I always say, is a great thing to do because it really can steal the show. And that took very little time to make. I'm going to set that one side here, and I'm going to show you some others. This one I made with the Silly Old Bear paper and the Sweet Words and Labels die set to cut this out. This comes with the Silly Old Bear paper, and they're in there, and they come with dies if you get the bundle that cut them out perfectly. And I think that looks so adorable. And again, you can sort of see, although I hid most of it, that I kept the seam going across. And I made sure that I had a little Pooh Bear sticking out there, so hopefully you can see them. For this one, usually what I'll do is I'll, as I said, make this a little bit bigger than this because I like the way it looks. You don't have to do it that way, but that's my preference. And then for this one, I did it differently. I made this a little bit smaller because I used gold foil and I didn't want the gold foil to be too big. So when I made this the same size, the top piece, the same size as the other top pieces, but I made the foil a little bit smaller so it wasn't overtaking everything. So this uses the Lovely and Beautiful designer series paper, which is lovely and beautiful. And again, I kept it in order so that the seam would go across. And then I used the Sweet Words, I used the Fern and Flora again for the same You're an Amazing Friend, and cut it out with the same paste, put the twine on it, and added the same antique pearls. So there are what I have for you today. This is a great, easy, wonderful card to make when you're running out quickly and need something quick. And you can do it with any sort of paper, any sort of scene, any sort of feeling. This one is much more fancy than this one. This one is very, got the very feel to it, the very fall feel to it. And then this one is more of a card that you can give for any reason. Also, when I make cards, I always love to, when I can, go ahead and put something on the inside. So I just took another piece from the same paper and just cut it out and put it here. If you're in a real rush, you can skip that, but that's what I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, please give me a thumbs up, like my channel. I'm trying to grow it, and it really helps. Leave a comment below. Let me know if you've made one of these, and I'd love to see your creation as well. Thanks so much. Have a great day, and see you next Monday. Bye.